He was not that special of a man. And the relationship, if I'm being honest, was not something that I felt was written in the stars from the very beginning. I knew that it was not something that was going to be long term. In fact, I didn't really introduce my kids to him, and I didn't really include him in my life because I knew instinctually that it was not something that was going to last. But I attached to him very quickly and very fiercely. And it was something I didn't understand at the time. I knew in my cognitive, logical side of my brain that it wasn't going to work and that he was not somebody that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. He did not have the things that I knew that my forever person would have, but I attached to him. And at the time, I did not understand why it was so intense. But what I'm realizing now is obviously a trauma bond was formed, which, if you don't know what that is, it's intermittent attention, intermittent reinforcement, which is breadcrumbing basically. And it incites this addictive response in its victims that they start to crave more and more of what the abuser is breadcrumbing. And that definitely was present. Absolutely. The trauma bond is real. And the manipulation is real. Taking somebody's greatest fears and their deepest wounds and using those against them to maintain power and control will get anyone addicted and hooked, which is why abusers do this. And my abuser had decades to learn how to do it. He was really good at it and did it to probably every woman he's ever dated. So I know that really I would have had to have been stainless steel Wonder Woman to be able to not fall prey to the trauma bond. But what I'm realizing now, and this is the takeaway that I want to really focus on, is that for some reason or another, this unremarkable person represented my deepest wounds. And when I was in my 20 plus year marriage, I was never asked to face those wounds because he and I did not have an emotionally deep relationship. We didn't even know our own wounds. We got married so young that we couldn't have known them at the time. And we started having children so quickly that we were immediately thrust into that life of him working on his career and building an amazing career and providing like a champ. And me being that stalwart, solid, organized housewife and running a household and raising 4 kids and being active in our church took up so much of our time. And so we didn't have time to forge the bonds of emotional intimacy, which meant that we were not asked to look at ourselves with emotional depth. We didn't have an emotional relationship with ourselves. And many people go their entire lives like this. And I'm at the point right now where I'm like, good for them. That's great. Ignorance is bliss. That is a figure of speech for a reason. Ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Because once you know, you can never go back to that ignorant place. But we were in that ignorant place for 2 decades. And it doesn't mean we didn't have problems in our marriage. We did. But we did not have the emotional depth that one would want in a lifetime marriage with somebody. And so when that marriage ended, I was, like I said in the beginning, really immature. It was like I was a newborn in my middle age where I should know everything and should have the wisdom of all the years behind me, out in the dating pool, meeting men on dating apps and not recognizing a wolf in sheep's clothing. How would I know that? I was so naive. And I think abusers pick up on this. They know how to spot, even if it's subconsciously, somebody that is naive and that is going to be easy prey. And that's exactly what I was. So when I met this person, he saw something in me he needed, naivete, vulnerability, and I saw something in him that I needed. And that is where I'm going with this. What I needed from him was so reflective of my deepest core wounds of my needs as a child that it created an instantaneous bond, an instantaneous need and attachment onto him that inevitably ended up showing me my deepest, rawest wounds.